Today, we welcome Ellis Hart, the brilliant and possibly cursed author of The House That Held Her. How are you today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me. This is super fun. It's like my first in-person, like face-to-face interview. So very
Nice.
cool.
Let's start with a quick blurb of The House That Held Her. Can you give one?
Okay. Yeah. So basically a couple moves into houses, all the normal things, kind of spooky, kind of creepy, maybe some supernatural going on. We're not too sure. And then our female main character finds a treasure map, and to kind of cover up all of the other emotional turmoil and holes going on in her life, she decides to go on a treasure hunt to maybe find some treasure. And some wacky things happen along the way.
That's an understatement.
Yes, yeah.
Now, it's set in Mount Dora, Florida, which to
Yep.
most of us is going to seem very random. How did you
Mhm.
land on that setting?
Yeah, it's so funny because most people don't even know that it's a real place.
No?
And so I moved to Florida with my family almost to the day last year. And I had sat down and we were about to have a hurricane in our first week here. And so I was like, maybe if we lose power, I should just start writing my book. That way, I'll have something to do if we don't have power. Inspires the beginning of the book where the oncoming hurricane is approaching. And I didn't know much about Florida towns, but there was a town back in Maryland where I'm from. And it was kind of like this old historic town and very like colonial, ghosty kind of vibes. And so I was like, all right, I definitely want that. And so I ended up just putting all my requirements into like Google and finding a town that like met them. So it was like colonial, old, needed a lake, had some potential ghost stories, has a big like haunted mansion kind of manor. And I went on and I found Mount Dora, and so I went onto like Google Street View and literally like walked through the town digitally, and I was like, oh, this is the town. And so I wrote the book, and then my wife was like, you should probably go there before you publish it. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So it's like 50 minutes away, and I went and love it. It's beautiful, and I'm so glad that I went because I got so much stuff wrong, and so I ended up rewriting a huge chunk of the book just to be like more
Sure.
focused and legit about the place because it was real. So yeah, it met all the requirements, but now I love it dearly. I had my first book signing there at an independent bookstore there. Literally, like they in the book, there's the Mount Dora Historical Museum, which is a real place there, and I kind of created a character, and then I went and met the lady who was actually working it, named Paula. And I was like, can I just rewrite the character to be you? So I like wrote her into it and a bunch of other really cool, fun things. So yeah, I don't know. It worked out well, and it ended up being a cool experience. And yeah,
I loved her character. That's so interesting to
I know,
know.
isn't it weird? Yeah.
Yeah. She was pivotal. She provided information on the town. That's so
Yes,
fun. Oh
I
my
know.
god.
And I had other people giving some of the information that Margot gets from her, but because Paula like legitimately knew so much about the town, I was like, oh, I gotta like redirect her to give
Oh,
this
yeah.
information because she literally is legit like this character.
That's so awesome. I love that. So, what's a scene or a dialogue that when you wrote it, you knew it was going in the book?
Um, so I had two that kind of like immediately pop into my head. So there's a line, if people exist without purpose, they stop existing altogether.
Mhm.
And I think that that is sort of poignant, especially for because it's so like broad. Like in the book, it's kind of talking about Margot and her like self-evaluation and self-importance based on her job and her ability to have a family. But I think for most of us, it's pretty applicable, right? Like if we can't find success in the things that we love, and we're just kind of like aimlessly about, in a couple generations, did you ever really exist? And so it's kind of like an interesting idea. It can be very surface level or it can be a lot deeper. And then the other one that isn't necessarily it was actually the last thing that I put in the book, but as soon as I wrote it, I was like, oh my God, I love this. Um, there was a character that doesn't die, but originally died. And I had some beta reader feedback that was like, curse you for doing this to us. And so when I went to Mount Dora, I, went out on the docks and, the water and the lake play a big part of it. And there was these, I call them the it tunnels, but like the giant runoffs.
Yeah.
And it, created the ending scene with some really cool characters. And I wrote that and I was like, dude, this is probably the most intense, like anxiety inducing part of the book, at least for me. And the idea of like maybe drowning and getting like maybe just not in time, you missed it by like 30 seconds. I loved all of that. So as soon as I wrote it, I was like, no matter what the editor takes in or takes out, or people say, this is staying in the book.
I loved it. It freaked me out. I don't think
No.
I'm like claustrophobic or anything, but the idea of knowing what's going to happen if you
Yes.
can't escape,
Yep.
yeah, it freaked me out.
Yes, it is the classic like Houdini moment, right? Of
Yes.
like, he's in the water and he might
Yeah.
drown. He only got X amount of time left.
And that's so funny because if I had to choose a line, that the line you said, the first one, that would probably be one that stuck out to me the most because I remember
Really?
pausing and being like, I'm having an existential crisis from
Yes.
reading that
Yes.
sentence.
Yeah, I
So thank
definitely
you for that.
it's so funny because like this is my first book, right? And I
Yeah.
still don't really feel like I'm even an author. But like writing the book, I was like, I don't know if this will ever come out, if anyone ever sees this. And I remember writing that and being like, I feel like this is like a legitimate author line, like all the other stuff was kind of like junk or like whatever, give or take. Take it or leave it, I guess. But like I wrote this and I was like, am I plagiarizing this? Because it feels like there are several times where I Googled stuff to make sure like I wasn't like subliminally stealing something,
Yeah.
and there was a the original saying that is in the chest. The darkness has a hunger. And I wrote that originally a little bit different, worded differently. And beta readers sent back some feedback, and one person was like, you should probably get that cleared with so and so band before you use it. And I was like, what do you
Oh
mean?
no.
And they were like, that's the chorus to this random song. And I was like, what? So I was like, and it was like a pretty legitimate, like big band in like the 80s. Um, and it was word for word the chorus of the song. And I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Like I've never heard this song in my life.
That's what I was gonna
Um,
ask.
yeah, never. Oh my gosh. I didn't even know who like the group was. And so I kind of like had to tweak it a little bit and ended up, I think, maybe being a little bit better. But um, I like thanked her. I was like, thank you so much.
I know.
Because I never would have known that that was, technically a stolen line. So
That's why beta readers can be great.
I
You get a
know, I'll tell
bunch of
you,
perspectives.
saved my tail several times. Yes.
Let's see. Do you start with the characters, the setting, the aesthetic? Where does a story start for you?
I definitely think that I work backwards from like a wild idea. Um, and so, the one for the house that held her, again, it was like, what if you stumble across a treasure map? So like, we grew up in like the 90s era. And so like the Goonies and those types of things, like the classic treasure hunt, right? And I was like, what if it's not like a feel good coming of age tale? Like, what if you find a treasure map and you go through all the hard work and maybe what you find isn't necessarily treasure in the like treasure chest, right? Um, and so that was kind of the catalyst for this story, and then working backwards from that. So like the the new book that I'm working on right now is sort of like the same thing. I was driving one night and I was like, whoa, what if like this thing happened? How wild would that be? And then I was like, well, how do I work backwards from that? Like that's almost impossible. And so I definitely feel like having a cool moment and then trying to figure out how to like turn it into a comprehensive story. I know some people really like focus on like a character or like a an emotion that they want to. But for me, I think it's just like cool plot points, I think.
That's so interesting to me because I do not have a creative mind like that. So to peek into the process is fascinating.
Well, and what's really interesting is like I also am a huge musician and always have been, and it's like I've learned the huge differences in that. So like for myself, I do a lot of top lining, so like writing choruses for songs. And a guy that I write with all the time, we have the exact opposite. So I'm like, I got to come up with a banger melody, right? And then I can force any words into that melody, but I need to know what syllables I have to like work with, right? For him, he writes like lyrics that are like deep and emotional and powerful, and then he'll try and force them into a melody. And to me, it just is like, well, the words are obviously very important, but like the melody is what gets stuck in your head, right? And so
Yeah.
it's the same with writing. I know some people work the exact opposite way that I do, and so I've been having such a blast learning about other authors, and I've been doing all kinds of like book clubs and stuff and seeing other people because I'm like, am I weird? Are they weird? Like, do we all do different things? And it just appears like everyone has a way of doing it,
Yeah.
So that's kind of,
Well, your creative process works. Don't stray from it.
yeah. So I'm trying, I think a little bit more now. Again, I hate to relate everything to me, but like it's really easy when Good Charlotte had 15 years to write their first album, right? And
Charlotte,
then me too.
your
And
fave.
then oh, so good. And then they get famous and they're like, oh God, we have 1 year to write a second record. How is it ever going to be as good? And that's the age-old tale, everyone being like, well, the first album was better. And so, you look at it from a book perspective and you're like, well, I took all the time I wanted and I had no one to let down. But now, like, I people are gonna expect
You
like
got
something that's
readers
good.
and
I know, yeah.
expectations.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, I just really can't screw this one up. So I feel like there's a little bit more pressure, but it's also exciting because people have been very gracious and,
Oh
and
yeah.
kind.
Oh yeah.
So Bookstagram's the only good safe place on the internet for sure,
Oh, I'm not sure
except
about that.
YouTube. Yeah, I know. I like went on Threads the other day by like
Oh
accident, and it is a dark, horrible place.
no, it's
You know,
awful.
yeah. Everyone's so mean. I was like, close, go back to Bookstagram.
Especially writers. Like I'm on there looking at what writers are complaining about and like things that happen to them from readers, and I'm just
Yep,
like,
yep.
okay, logging off.
Yeah. It
Every time
is.
I'm
It
on
is.
there, I feel like I'm seconds away from being canceled.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
That's all they do over there.
I'm scared to like look at anything. I'm like, if I like the wrong thing, that's it for me.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'll I'll expand this. So what book or any form of media do you think made you a person that could write today?
Um, so I just did that giveaway with a bunch of books. And so I think a lot of those were pretty on the nose, but I think the first book that really like filled me with actual fear and dread was Misery by Stephen King. And my dad had a giant bookcase, a bunch of Stephen King. Um, but I felt like I wasn't old enough to really read it yet. And so I just kind of looked at the covers and the spines all the time. But I very vividly remember looking at Misery and being like, okay, it doesn't sound like there's like ghosts or like any crazy murder or anything. I don't know if you know the story about
I
Misery,
do.
but
I do.
okay. And so it was like, okay, this guy, like, he just has a big fan. And you
Boy.
know, I think that like what was so mind-boggling about that book is it was so like effing scary, but
Yeah.
like it's a book, and so like in movies you have the ability to like do
Jump scare.
like the jump scares, right? Exactly. And you have like visual and audio and all these things that at your disposal, but with books it's just words,
Yeah.
and so to be terrified through that was like a mind blowing experience to be like, wow, words have like legitimate power. um and then I remember I actually really wasn't a big reader until like Harry Potter and Aragon came out. And I think I just remember um realizing like, oh, like reading isn't necessarily like just schoolwork or like summer reading that like sucks. Like I'm really enjoying this. This is a really fun opportunity just to kind of like leave everything behind. Um, and there's something like more productive about like reading a book than watching a show,
Agree.
and at least mentally, right? And so, you know, it was kind of like less guilt about like sitting down and just cozying up with like a book and a snack and just doing your thing, right?
Yes.
Um, so those books just kind of made it like a, hey, escapism is like a real and valid thing with books. You can make people feel all kinds of things with books. And then I would say The Perks of Being a Wallflower like broke my heart as like a old middle schooler. And I I definitely think that that book was like, oh, the opposite of misery, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe the same, but like a different emotion. Like
It
I
evokes
can,
feeling, right?
yes, yes. Like I don't know what's happening, but something important is happening, you know? And so I always was like, okay, I want, if I ever write a book, I want to do all of those things. Like I want to be able to scare people without like having all these things at my disposal. I want to make people like feel something like, um, you know, whatever the emotion is, like very vividly and deeply. And then I also just want people to like have some fun, you know, and just kind of escape for a little bit. So
Yeah.
I hope I did that. But that's those ones are pretty key for me, I think.
I can attest that The House That Held Her filled me with dread in the best way.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot
You
of
know,
emotions too.
it's so funny because like I didn't know what to call it. I just called it a psychological thriller, right?
Yeah.
And some people
It's
are
tough
like,
to
it
pin
is.
down.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of people are like, well, it's a horror book. And I'm like, there are some horror moments, but like, I don't think so. And then like there's a bunch of ones and DNFs on Goodreads, and they're like, this isn't a fucking horror book. And I'm like, I never said it was. You know, but then there are other people who are like, this, I can't do horror. This is too scary for me. So it's everyone's kind of
Yeah.
interpretation of, you know, how art is different.
You got to find your readers, you know,
Yeah, that's,
connect
you
with
know what?
who you need to connect with.
That's so true. You got to find your
Mhm.
readers. You're right.
Yeah. Look at me. I'm
I
never
know.
right.
I'm sure your kids disagree.
Oh, please. Let's see. Can you tell us anything about what's next? Are there going to be more hauntings, more
Mm.
feelings, more dread, blood?
Oh, blood, yeah. So I think I'm working on two kind of ideas. One is like a full book, actually, and then the second one I have started to do short stories, right? And I really enjoy pushing the boundaries to be like, you only got 4 pages, man. What can you do? Right. Maybe those go back to like the old Reddit days of like the one sentence horror stories, right? Or like, you know, whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
But so I think on one project in my brain is I would love to do like a short stories collection of scary stuff. Um, and you know, don't make them huge. You know what? I'll make them however big I want. You know, like whatever feels right. Some a page, you know, some 30. I don't know. But I think it'd be fun to be able to kind of spook people out and not ask them to give a huge chunk of time, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like um, scary stories to tell, right? When we were growing
Yeah.
up, and
Oh,
you know, some of those wrecked us, right?
yeah.
I mean, like Harold, I still think about when I am like at a bonfire.
Yeah.
Um, so that, and then definitely a second full length novel, and I would say I am 3/4 of the way done. Um, and I was syncing up with my editor from the first book, just to kind of do like a general uh, concept path. He had some really good feedback when I was done The House That Held Her, and I thought second time around I'll probably get him involved earlier because he probably would have saved me a lot of time and pain um, of just being like, hey man, this is super dumb. Um, so yeah, my goal, right, is to really you know, get signed to like an actual major publisher and get a real agent. My hope is that the goal and the concept was always, all right, let's just show that like The House That Held Her can stand on its own, that I can like put out a quality book that people connect with and enjoy. And then as I'm querying for my second book, I can say, hey, I've already sold X amount of copies with
Hope
no
is
ad
that
spend. The goal and the concept was always, all right, let's just show that like the house that held her can stand on its own, that I can like put out a quality book that people connect with and enjoy. And then as I'm querying for my second book, I can say, hey, I've already sold X amount of copies with no ad spend all by myself. Or whatever. And hopefully that can get some traction. So I've had a couple of people interested in the manuscript so far. And so I've sent out a couple blurbs and stuff. So my goal is to put out a second book and hopefully have it be on shelves for everyone just to kind of buy. Um, and the working backwards kind of concept was, um, is there peace after vengeance, right? So like the concept of, um, if you enact your revenge, if you tell the story, or if you kill the person, or if you avenge the moment, when it's all said and done, like, do you walk away off into the sunset with like true peace?
Yeah.
Um, and I don't really know the answer, but I was like, let's go figure it out together. And so there are two characters kind of running parallel storylines, and the reader doesn't necessarily know how they converge until a certain point in the book. And then I think it has probably what I'm hoping will be some of the best twists that I've seen or experienced in a really long time. Um, and so it was kind of that moment where I like had this idea and I was like, how do I put that into a book? So I've been kind of working backwards. So now is the tough part, because like I wrote the beginning where I think people call The House That Elder like a slow burn at the beginning. I didn't necessarily write it that way. I don't know if it really is or not, but I wanted to come out of the gate swinging on this, like hardcore. And so the beginning is like mad intense, and then I knew the ending, so it's just kind of trying to like develop the characters so they're not just filler,
Flat.
you know? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the hope. So I was thinking it would be really cool if I could maybe put some short stories together for like a Halloween shorts collection. And either just do like a Kindle kind of thing, like Amazon Books does, or a printing, maybe like a small printing of it. But and then yeah, get this thing signed and into people's hands.
Well, I'll be buying a short story collection. I am in like a novella collection
Mm,
time right now because you know how many arcs I read. It's just like
yeah,
so much easier for me to fit little novellas or collections in, and they hit me the hardest sometimes. They
they
really
do.
do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think there are, because you do have so much less space, um, you really can't waste time
Yeah,
describing like that brick wall for a page, right? You have to like just move. And a
yeah.
lot of people really like that. I mean, the short, snappy stuff is where our attention spans are shrinking, right? With like
I know.
streaming and all the things that we have. So people can sit down and read a book in one day now. So yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm on that era with you as well.
Well, I know some about one of your projects, and I am pumped. I could not be more pumped. I
Yes,
am
yeah,
in
I
no
know.
ways worried about you. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna be successful. And let me just say, as an indie work, this launch was incredible. Like I'm still
Thank you.
seeing it everywhere.
Sure.
Incredible.
Thank you. I
Popping
definitely
off.
I went with the Geneva Rose like, kind of approach, right? Which was just like find a bunch of genuine book lovers. Maybe they don't have like 50,000 followers, but maybe they have 2,000, right? And the ones that they do have also really just love books. And so people like yourself and a bunch of other, people who are in like the Broken Hearts group that are reading the new book, or basically like I have like a full list of people in my brain on Instagram who are just so gracious and kind. And so, I was like, well, I'll just bite the bullet. I'll, send some arcs out and see what happens. And
And look,
yeah, the rest just kind of like went. It's been really cool because like people are honestly just like generating stuff for me at this point. Like I can just
exactly.
share things because people have been so kind about it. And so it's absolutely. And I have like there's cool things that are coming up that I'm like, this is nuts. Like I had Barnes and Noble reach out the other night and they were like, "Hey, we're doing like a horror panel, and we wanted you to like come speak." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm in Florida. Which store?" And they like gave me this random location. I was like, "Where the heck is this?"
Oh my
It's in like
God.
California. And I was like, "That's so random," but like, sure, I'll fly to California to do that because like, when else do you get to do an author panel at a Barnes and Noble?
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't know, just the fact that they even would know who I am is like a really cool, special thing. And I'm trying my best not to take it for granted and just be very um, humble and thankful because, if people like yourself weren't like sharing things and, being so nice, I definitely would have given up already. So
Well, it's definitely a give and take because you fed us the story.
yeah, yep, that's true. I think, I just love to be creative in general. And so I was thinking, oh, and it like my wife has to like bring me back because I'm like, I could go do this stuff all day. Like all the marketing cool things that I have, she's like, this is all just losing money. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, who cares about that? Like, it's fine. I'll sell the next batch for like whatever. So like the PR kits and all that stuff, I wanted to do something unique and give people like a cool experience, or the giveaways that I'm doing and stuff. Cause like, I don't really care about making like any money. I have
Yeah.
a job. I just want to get the story in people's hands so that they can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so any way that I can do that is like a special treat for me. So it's cool. Yeah.
Well, can you tell us where we can find your work, The House That Held Her, and where you'll be releasing future works?
Yeah. So you can get it anywhere that books are sold, specifically like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Books a Million. Sometimes you can go to like your independent bookstore, and all the time you can go to your independent bookstore and they can order it. They probably won't carry it in stock, obviously.
Yeah. They
But
should.
I know, if enough people order it, there are a couple stores here that are carrying it, which is really nice. So yeah, anywhere that you kind of feel comfortable and like to get your books should be able to get a copy, or my website, which is ellishartbooks.com. And I have some merch up there, and then I have signed copies that I can, make out to people if they like that option as well. So yeah.
On my side, I just want to tell everybody how they can support you. Obviously, buying the book,
Mhm.
even on Kindle, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Again, like I don't even care how you get it if you get it. I think I still have it on Kindle Unlimited right now.
oh yeah.
Um,
No.
and yeah, so all the e-readers and stuff, it should really be available.
Okay. Okay. Do you care for a speed round? I got some fun
Yeah,
questions.
let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
nervous.
All right. Do you like writing at day or night?
Oh, God,
When do you
morning,
get like the most done?
definitely like early morning. Like if I can get up before anyone else.
Before the kids? Yep.
Yeah,
Same.
warm coffee, and quiet. That's
Same.
that's the recipe.
Same. Ghosts or unreliable narrators? If you had to
Oh,
choose.
ghosts. I hate unreliable narrators. It's like
Really?
my number one trope that I cannot stand, which is funny because I
Really?
know some people feel like Margot is that.
No,
Um,
I didn't feel like that.
yeah.
Well, she was a little unhinged. She was a little delulu, but like in a good
There's a
way.
difference between like being just dumb sometimes and being like an unreliable narrator,
Yeah, true.
especially for like your big twist. Like if you're like, you didn't guess it and you only didn't guess it because I never told you. Like
Yeah,
that's not
true.
fair. I hate that.
True. True.
Definitely ghosts.
Well, that leads into my next question. What is your favorite thriller trope specifically?
God. Um, thriller trope. I can only think of ones that I hate. That's so funny.
Okay, I'll
Um,
take that too.
listen to
Besides
negative
unreliable
Nancy
narrator.
over here. No, I definitely feel like I would. There's like again, the Goonies in me, just like the nostalgia stuff, right? Like everyone hated Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. It's kind of like
Yeah.
universally not his favorite or not their favorite. And I loved it just because it had like it wasn't set that way, but it had like, the 90s kids like
Yeah.
growing up kind of vibe. And so
Yeah.
any kind of thriller that has a old school goosebumpy kind of
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan. It'll probably put me in the right headspace for me to be like, this book rules. Um,
Yeah. I
but
think I agree with
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then I mean the other thing, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I might have used it a little bit in The House That Held Her, which is like some things that could seem spooky that could also just be
Yeah.
naturally explained, or vice versa. And you're never really sure. Like I don't necessarily like appreciate when it's both.
Yeah.
I like when it's either one or the other. Like we are in a place where ghosts exist, or
Yeah.
we're in a realm where like humans do bad things and blame it on ghosts.
Yeah. That's what I liked about it though, was the like ambiguity.
Yes.
Because Hawthorne Manor feels like a character on its own.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
later on we learn things, but like it's ambiguous, like is there
Yep.
something supernatural going on? I loved
Yeah.
it.
I know. And like I thank you. I feel like there were a bunch of moments where I like wrote things just because it was like super cool. And then, my wife made the book exponentially better, but she would be really hard on me, like, but like why? Why did that happen? I'm like, because it's fucking cool. And she's like, yeah, but like logically, why would that happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll go back to the drawing board. So then, but when you finally figure it out and you can figure out like the pieces, it makes it that much stronger, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good that she's honest though, because she's seeing it as a reader,
Oh, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, she basically like the big kind of twist. She pushed me really, really hard on. It was like going to be someone different and a whole different ending.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was like, this could be so much better. And I was like, I have to rewrite the whole book.
Well, we better
But
give Mrs. Hart some credit.
I know. She definitely. I do. I try to give her as much credit as I can, and she only reads things like in paper form. So like even now, like I'm uploading like weekly stuff to the blog and people get to read it and give feedback. And she's like, I don't want to read it until it's done and I can like read it in print. And I'm like, but what if you pick something out early and then all the other prints for naught? And she's like, then it is. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh no.
But it's still valuable insight for sure.
What is something on your desk that shouldn't be?
Right now,
Yeah. Or in your
um,
general vicinity.
let's see, probably
I know you
candy,
can't be that
candy
clean.
bar. I mean, I did have an extra Quest protein
Very
bar
good. Those
earlier
are good.
today.
Would you stay the night in Hawthorne Manor?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like, I love scary things. All the scary movies and all the stuff. I think, yeah, probably. I think it would be pretty cool. I think one night, should be all right.
Yeah, should be.
But
What if
you never
what if
know.
you discover the chest while you're there with
Yeah,
the
no,
content?
I'd probably peace out. I don't know. Anything, if you had told me, hey, there could be cool, mysterious things in Hawthorne Manor, I'd probably
Yeah.
go just to try and find all of the cool hidden stuff.
I would go, but don't ask me to look around for stuff. No, thank you.
Just like sit in the living room and count your hours.
I had a blast. Thank you so much for joining me. Publishers, sign this man.
Amen.